All right, so here, audience, we have first off, we have Jimmy. Here we're coming. Okay, we have Bruce.
Hi.
It's number 2, audience number 3. We
Brittany.
do have my sister
Say hi,
Brittany
Brittany.
on FaceTime. And then
Hi.
audience member number 4, we do have Corbin over here on this side. Okay. Okay, so here, how to survive a police encounter. And so, here we go. And so police, who are the police? Police is a body of officers representing the civil authority of government. Police typically are responsible for maintaining public order and safety, enforcing the laws, and preventing, detecting, and investigating criminal activities. These functions are known as policing. The duties of a police officer is to protect life and property through the enforcement of laws and regulations. They respond to calls for police service, to conduct preliminary and follow-up criminal and traffic investigations. They arrest and process criminals, and they have the ability to exercise judgment in determining when to use force and how much force to use. And their overall duty is to protect and serve. Okay. Possible police encounters, those would be a pedestrian stop, a victim or witness, or a traffic stop. And we'll start off with the traffic stop on how it goes. Most of you who have had a traffic violation will be familiar with this. So if you make a violation of a traffic, violation, the officer will pull you over, and when you see the red and blue lights, you must stop immediately. The law states that when you see red and blue lights, you must pull all the way to the right and stop immediately. You should not continue on to find a parking spot, an open parking lot. You shouldn't pull off to the left, especially in the middle lane. You must pull as far right as possible, even if it's blocked by something, and stop there immediately. Once you are stopped, do not exit your vehicle. You must stay in the vehicle, or the officer may think that you are attempting to flee. Do not be reaching around looking for stuff. You just keep your hands on the wheel as the officer approaches. The officer will approach the vehicle and he will introduce himself, and then he will ask you, why did he pull you over? Why do you think he pulled you over? And then by law, he will ask you for 3 things. Those are your license, your registration, and your insurance. And you must provide these 3 things to the officer. Do not be reaching around for these things prior to the officer approaching the car. You should inform the officer, yes, I do have these. They're located in the glove box. The ones look in my wallet, which is in my right side pocket. Can I reach for that? And you let us say yes. And then you can go. Don't make fast movements, just do it slowly, provide that. And this way, he knows that you're safe and that you'll be keeping him safe as well. The officer will then go verify that stuff back in his vehicle with his computer. Still, do not exit the vehicle. Stay there with your hands on the wheel so the officer may see him. Officers are trained to watch your hands while they are trained to watch your hands. If you're empty-handed and they're in a place they can watch, the officer will feel more safe. A police officer does not know who you are. They don't know what kind of threat you present. You don't know if you're a good guy or a bad guy. And police officers typically deal with bad people daily, and they just want to go home the same way that you do, safely to their families. The next one would be the pedestrian stop. An officer may stop you if you match the profile of a suspect. He will ask you 3 questions, and you must answer these by law. What is your name? What is your address? And what are you doing? Just an explanation of what you're doing, why you are there. And like I said, by law, you are required to answer these 3 questions. Police don't know who's who. They don't know if you're innocent or guilty. They're just trying to do their job to find the suspect. The police officer may even detain you. That does not mean you're going to jail. If he arrests you, puts you in handcuffs, does not mean you're going to jail, but he is just trying to keep himself safe and everyone else around him safe as they talk to you and just figure out if you were in the same area as the suspect, just do further investigation. Okay. Proceeding, we have some tips for surviving a police encounter. So, be polite and respectful when stopped by the police. Don't argue with the police under any circumstances. Keep your hands in plain sight at all times. Do not reach for your waistband or for your pockets quickly. Keep your hands visible to the officer at all times. Don't run. Use common sense. Don't resist arrest even if you are innocent. Obey the lawful commands of the officer. If you disobey a lawful command of an officer, that is a violation of law and you will be charged. It's another criminal charge. Okay. From an article titled "Don't Blame the Cop When a Bad Guy Gets Shot" from Deseret News back in 1999, there were 4 steps in helping people prevent a possible engagement with a cop where he would need to use deadly violence to stop that force. These steps are don't commit a crime. That's pretty simple. Those who are committing crimes are already pursuing a career of danger with officers, and that could always wind up with a bullet hole in your chest. So don't commit a crime. And the second one, that would be don't try to flee. Don't try to run, even if you are innocent. So if you did commit a crime and they stop you, don't try to run. Like I said, that is another criminal charge, and you're not giving yourself a good image. You're becoming, the officers are more suspicious of you and thinking that you are more of a danger. Number 3 is don't disobey a cop's orders. Like I said, that is also against the law to disobey a cop's order. You are also charging yourself with another crime. And if you commit a crime, you try to run, and you're disobeying cops' orders, you could possibly wind up with a bullet hole, as I said. If you make it past this, do not fight with the police or act aggressively. If you somehow wind up with a weapon of sorts, as a gun, don't be pointing it at anybody. If you have a knife, don't be waving it around. And don't be yelling and cursing at the police. Don't shout that you want to die and that you're going to try to take a couple cops with you. That really gets the cops riled up and they will act very defensively. And as well, cops are not going to empathize with you. A lot of people who are stopped by the cops, maybe they're just having a really bad day. They got some bad news, lost their job, maybe somebody insulted them and they're just not having it today. The cops can't understand. Cops deal with lots of crazy people all the time, and they just trying to keep you safe as well as keeping themselves safe at all times, because they just want to go home to their families. Okay, and now it's just a quick video from Chris Rock about these same rules.
People in the black community, myself, often worry that we might be a victim of police brutality. So, as a public service, the Chris Rock Show proudly presents this educational video. Have you ever been face to face with a police officer and wondered, is he about to kick my ass? Well, wonder no more. If you follow these easy tips, you'll be fine. First, obey the law. Laws were made for a reason. Think of them as hints. You heard people say, man, I wouldn't do that shit if I was you. Well, here's some of that shit. Carjacking, armed robbery, arson, selling drugs, buying drugs, stabbing, shooting. You know, you probably won't get your ass kicked if you just use common sense. If you jump a subway turnstile, you might just get off with a warning from the police. But if you jump a turnstile carrying a loaded gun and smoking a joint, then maybe you need that ass kicked. We all know what happened to Rodney King. But Rodney wouldn't have gotten his ass kicked if he had just followed this simple tip. When you see flashing police lights in your mirror, stop immediately. Everybody knows, if the police have to come and get you, they're bringing an ass-kicking with them.
Yep, and so 3 of those great points that you brought up. 1, obey the law. 2, use common sense. 3, stop immediately. Okay, and so to wrap it up, 95% of all police-involved shootings can be prevented if you follow these simple rules. Don't commit any crime. Make sure you stop immediately. Don't try to run away from the police. Obey their orders and be polite. Don't act aggressive. This will keep the officers safe and it will keep you safe as well. If you ever feel like your rights have been violated, you can report to Internal Affairs and they do take their job very seriously. Officers, as we know, all have body cams and everything they do is recorded. And if you ever report something, it will go to Internal Affairs and they will go through that footage and find if what you have filed a complaint against, if it's true or not. Be aware though, if you do file a complaint against an officer and it's a lie, you can get charged with another for breaking the law as well, and they do take that very seriously as well. So I hope that we could all take into consideration these tips for surviving these police encounters so we can keep the police officers safe and we can keep ourselves safe and we can all just go home to our families. Thank you.